But today we are talking about from Indus to exile. Now, before I start this story, I want to make a few things very clear out here. Whatever I'm talking to you, I'm not boasting out here, please, but I have walked the Indus from Karachi to its source in Kailash Mansarovar. The energies have been very kind to us, has given us this opportunity to literally do this journey in fragmented manners, but I can literally tell you I've done this mapping from Balochistan, Karachi, right up, and when I say Indus, it's on the east and the west, whether it's Afghanistan, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, East Punjab, West Punjab, right up till to Tibet, to the Kailash Mansarovar. I'm not boasting about it, so whatever I'm talking to you is coming from first hand, walk the talk. Not academic. It may be perceived as academic, but it's coming from the heart. Please, for God's sake, just leave your religious conditioning outside the room when we are inside here. Because we're going to talk about certain things which, if you're going to come with a religious conditioning, you will feel uncomfortable. Right? So this belongs to every adherent of Nanak. Because we've drawn these boundaries so hard today that it's become hard to have a meaningful conversation. So it's a group that's sitting out here. If you are here, I think you've crossed the first bridge of coming inside the room, so leave your conditioning outside. Is that okay? Yeah? So, because I'm going to talk my heart. And in the process, if I don't say Guru Nanak, don't take me into a fatwa out here. I might say Nanak from my love for him. I may say Kabir for the love for him. It doesn't mean I'm disrespecting. And also if I say a lot of things that's beyond your conditioning, don't hold me to it. I'm just talking my heart. Is that an agreement?
Sure.
Alright. Okay. So let's start with this picture, which is from Sindh in a darbar that I've clicked. And I'm not saying in India. There are many darbars out here. And I will clarify darbar and gurdwara. Darbar is where in the Sindhi culture a syncretic form of congregation happens, which means Guru Granth Sahib, Udero Lal Granth, Gita, and all can coexist. Vishnu can coexist with Nanak. That's what a darbar is, right? Gurdwara is what Punjab has defined to Gurdwara's shape and structure, is what they also have, with all respect, right? So that's the two strands you need to be very clear. We are not talking about Punjab centric out here. We're talking about a land along the civilization that thrived and surfaced along the river Indus. Civilizations always emerged on river. Historically, were on the rivers. You have a Gangetic civilization. You had an Indus civilization, you have a Kaveri civilization, you have a Krishna civilization, you have the Egypt, Nile civilization. Civilization would be on the rivers. We are the people of the Indus region, whom the destiny has been very harsh. You can't change the history. History has been very harsh on us, thrown away from the lands from where our DNA had emerged, and we have landed into primarily the Gangetic region. So of course we will evolve, of course we'll face a lot of issues out here, right? And we are in a transformative phase out here. So I look at this picture from a darbar of Nanak, and the one who's traveling with him is the Bhai Mardana with the rabab. And the other companion, some says Bala, but the earliest text up to 150 years of the life of Guru Nanak, there's no Bala, but after that it appears. So I'm not passing in judgment, but this is a picture of him standing on a fish and traveling on the river Indus. A lot of people from the Sindhi culture would know of saints and personalities like Zahir Peer, right? Zinda Peer, Jhule Lal, and Nanak all appear on a fish. And because you are on a fish, it's also a representation in the cultural aspect, an avatar subcontinent, because crossing the seas was considered to be inauspicious in the Indian culture. But here's this man who traveled far and wide. Why did he do it? Right? And from there I want to come to the modern. Our forefathers, 1903, Punjab and Sindh Bank. They didn't make it Punjab Bank. But Punjab and Sindh Bank, 1903, and they did it. Inclusive along the river culture. Why did they do it? connected to today's world. There's a story in it, right? Because our forefathers were not divisive. They didn't look at it that way. And sometimes I look at the beautiful calendars that Punjab and Sindh Bank has printed. There is no Sindhi story in it. There's always a Sikh story, only the Sikh gurus and it stops there. Beautiful calendars is to print. I have never seen a Sindhi story in it. So you are an equal partner of Punjab and Sindh Bank, but where's the Sindh story in it? Do you understand what I'm saying? When you have an equal partnership, then you give a 50% equity to the other person. The story is also right, but you've not done that. And I would question Punjab and Sindh Bank leadership. You've carried the name of the lower part of the Indus, but you've not told the Sindh story. In those beautiful calendars that you've done, you only told the Punjab story. And again, the Sikh Gurus are not West Punjab. Punjab is boxed in. The Sikh Gurus belong to broader civilization. The thought was, wisdom was much, much bigger. And I have no problem with representing the Sikh Gurus. They did a good job. But where is the Sindh stories? That's the point I'm trying to say. Right? That's how it is. Have a look at it. But now let's get down to why did Sindhis adopt Guru Nanak? It's a Sindhi aspect, right? So I just want to build this baseline and get down to the point that, look, first thing, Guru Nanak traveled far and wide, only for the purpose, he says in his words, we're trying to understand Guru Nanak from his rationality, present as rational Guru Nanak. He says, Jab lag duniya rahiye Nanak, kich suniye kich kahiye. Till such time you are in this world, seek and impart. Dialogues is important. But today the dialogues have stopped. Today we are passing judgments. And that's where the problem is. So, look at this one verse that, at least in the Gurdwaras, I know we recite this every day. Every day we recite it in the evening prayer. But the message is missing. And I will let this video say it for itself and then we come down.
Open-mindedness to discuss and assimilate diverse philosophical views has historically been a unique strength of the Indic culture. Guru Nanak's acknowledgement of the 6 Indic philosophical systems, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisesika, Mimamsa and Vedanta, is a reflection that he respected freedom of thought. However, above all, he endorsed the doctrine of oneness as paramount.
So just to repeat this, Chhe Ghar, Chhe Gur, Chhe Udesh. Ghar here is not your home, it's the philosophy. Chhe Ghar, in the Indic traditions, there are 6 Darshanik Shastras, right? 6 philosophies. He's talking about that. Chhe Ghar, unke 6 Guru hain. Each philosophy has a different message. Guru Gur Eko Ves Anek. Guru ka Guru to ek hi hai. The source is one. Ves Anek. Unke Ves alag hai. Baba says, Nanak says, Je Ghar, jis philosophy mein karte kirat ho, creative energy ki praises ho rahi hai. So Ghar Raakh Vadai Do. Wahi sabse bada ghar hai. He's not passed a judgment of what's right or what's wrong. He's talking about a dialogue, such a beautiful thing, right? So, there's an inclusivity out here in this message, and that's why he brought this together. And I look at it, having traveled across the Indus region, I have realized one thing, that I was born in Gorakhpur, in UP, and I have inherited this Om that we out here, talk across the entire Indian subcontinent. And I'll tell you something very interesting. When I walked in the Indus region, in the mandirs of, I'm not talking about the new ones, the ruins of the mandirs across the Indus region in Pakistan, you see on the frescoes, you'll find the Om is always written as the second Om. Right? So we have inherited this, but people of the Indus region were owning this Om. Bottom line is the same. So let's just understand, Om represents not what we are saying in our translations about Guru Nanak. He was not a founder of monotheism. Monotheism hota hai jab kehte hain God is one. Guru Nanak is talking about something very different. He's talking about everything is one. We are all intertwined. The Om out here, whether it be this or that, is representing a trikon, an energy of three: creative, sustenance, destruction, powers, right? जिसको आप manifestation में अगर आप ले लो ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश कह दो, या नहीं अगर निर्गुण में जाना है तो आप creative, sustenance, destruction कह दो. It's your imagination, whatever you want to say. I'm not passing a judgment on that. But a creative, sustenance, destructive power, when it takes akar, becomes Omkar. So ek Omkar is what Nanak's gift is, saying Omkar, the creative, sustenance, destructive energy. When it takes form that we can see, we can hear, or we cannot see and we cannot hear, but we feel it because our senses go beyond that, right? Omkar ke aage ek lagana does not mean God is one. It means the entire creative, sustenance, destructive energy which takes a form. Because we are all here for a little bit of time. We just came here, I came to the stage 15 minutes back. In 45-50 minutes, I'll finish this conversation. The energy will finish, we'll all go there. Energy forms, energy takes us forward, energy dies. Our body comes from nowhere, it takes a form for a few years, we'll die, we'll finish off. So, the energy gets formed, sustains for a little while, gets destroyed. When it takes a form, akar, before that, if you put a one, Guru Nanak is saying, this diversity that this Om represents, in the gadgeting and this diversity, inclusivity of the energy which is represented in the Indus region, Guru Nanak is transforming into saying Omkar, but he's putting a one before that to just enforce the point, saying that everything is intertwined into one. Now if you see from that angle, it's not the God concept, it's out here, the tree and I are intertwined. If I'm going to cut the tree, I'm cutting myself. Do you understand the concept here? You and I are intertwined. When Ravidas and Guru Granth Sahib is saying, Tohi, Mohi, Mohi, Tohi, Antar Kaisa. You take it as that Tohi, or you take it the tree Tohi, you take it as you Tohi, Mohi. It's the same. Gurbani says, Soham aap pachane. Soham, that I realize myself. Aap pachane, recognize within you. Kabir Sahib and Guru Granth Sahib says, Khalak, Khalak, Khalak mein Khalik. Creator is the creation, creation is the creator. The God of today was not the God of yesterday, the God of today will not be the God of tomorrow because everything is evolving. So sorry if someone feelings get hurt, but that's the point I look at. This beautiful Omkar coming in, Guru Nanak's putting one, is to reinforce the message that this diversity along the riverbed of Ganges and the riverbed of Indus is being transformed by him 550 years back to say, Omkar ke upar ek lagana matlab everything is intertwined in one. Once you understand there, the differences go away. You start rising above. Heaven, hell goes away. It's all here. Right? So then, and if people don't believe in this, let me show you. This is at the Atak river, on the Indus river. This is, in Punjabi it's written, and I tell you how diverse the society was. Ek Omkar is written there. It says, is flourished. This is inside a temple, by the way. No, this is inside a Gurdwara. This is a Gurdwara. Is Ek Omkar is flourished ki seva karai Shrimati Manohara Devi Dharam Patni Lalaji Parjamat. The names should resonate what I'm trying to say. There is no syncretic out here as we define it today. This I want to show you is from Hari Singh Nalwa's tomb at the Khyber Pass, from where he stopped the invasions by building the Jamrod fort. 800 years of invasions were happening from the Central Asia. And he builds a fort there. We may as Sikhs say that, Hari Singh Nalwa, this, that, and today's in the AI world, we got everything is warrior spirit, everything. People don't look at the spirit of Hari Singh Nalwa as an administrator, as an agriculturalist, as a musician, as a poet. There are so many facets of him. And at his Samad, we are not writing this Samad. This is, I think the Kapoor family, I think it is the Kapoor family, ancestors of the Kapoor family of Bollywood, who were from Peshawar, Lala Gajjumal Kapoor, no bhai, Babu Gajjumal Kapoor of Peshawar. In 1892, he's at the place where his body was cremated. This Samadhi is made, and Om is written as, if you see it, can you see it from there? It's this one, the center one. You may claim Hari Singh Nalwa to be your in the Sikh history, but you didn't give him that recognition. That's all I want to make a point. That we are coming from a very syncretic, non-divisive part, and today the narrative is unfortunately. Let's come to the Sindhi aspect, and I bring this passage which I want to read out because this beautifully says a lot about the Sindhi culture. Sindh is an excellent example of merging of Guru Nanak's message of Naam and Bhakti with Vedantic teachings. Now, someone out here might say, "Oh, why are you bringing the Vedantic?" I'm not writing this. I'm just showing what's written out there. Okay, Vedantic, because Vedantic is also the philosophy. Guru Nanak saying, "Chhe Ghar, Chhe Guru, Chhe Updesh." Vedanta is one of the elements of it. He's not negating it. In this sense, Sindh merged in itself the socio-religious culture of Punjab. The Sindhis follow the devotional and pious message of Guru Baba Nanak enshrined in Guru Granth Sahib. They have not only endeared themselves to Guru Nanak, Baba Nanak's faith, but have also conserved it in their worship and way of life. One can see from the Sakhis, the historical anecdotes of his life events, of Babas and Swamis of Sindh, that they encourage their disciples to learn Gurmukhi. Even today in Pakistan, they learn Gurmukhi and recite Gurbani. Due to the strong influence of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Gurbani, the Sindhis today have a long tradition of recitation of Japji Sahib, Sukhmani Sahib, Kirtan and Akhand Path, unfortunately, which is finishing off very fast. And the reason is, I'll tell you later on, but let me go ahead. Many Sindhis do not touch a morsel of food unless they finish reciting their prayers from Gurbani. Many people are amazed when they see the Sindhi Tikana. Tikana is a mandir. Sindhi Tikana, Darbar, where a syncretic form happens, which has the holy Sri Guru Granth Sahib installed in the middle of all the deities and gods surrounding it. Gita can also be there, Real can be there. Everything can be coexisting, right? Sindhis and Nanak Panthi devotees are not used to mainstream Sikhism. I have a view out here. Let's get these isms out of our vocabulary. It's something that British have given us. Ism is a boundary. The moment you start saying Sikhism, you've already drawn a boundary. You start saying Hinduism, Hindu is a thought, and I'll show you in the next process. Every philosophy is a thought. It's the people living on the east of the Sindhu river are Hindus. As a culture, we are from that subcontinent. So, hence, they are comfortable with Satya Narayan Puja along with paying homage to Sri Guru Granth Sahib. This universal acceptance is also practiced during the marriages. Many Sindhis marry in both traditions by Vedic rites and the Sikh Anand Karaj. Anand Karaj is a very recent phenomenon. But yes, they have adopted it still. So look at the greatness of the community that's trying to integrate. Does that make it clear? Or am I going too fast or very high above? Yeah? Okay. But I want to then just understand Guru Nanak before getting down to into the fieldwork assessments out here. Look, Guru Nanak is all about righteous conduct. To him, it doesn't matter what shape, form, who you are. It doesn't matter. He goes to Mecca, he's giving the same message. He goes to Jagannath Mandir, he's giving the same message. If he comes here today, he will give the same message to us, the founders of Guru Nanak, the adherents of Guru Nanak. Right? So he's about a message, and that message is very simple. When he emerges from the river vein, we have this narrative of giving a marvel moment to every saint that one day realization dawns upon them. No, realization is a continuous process that happens. But yet, storytelling likes to go into a moment of realization, moment of actually becoming a saint. But let's say, okay, accept that story for a moment. But when he emerges from river vein in Sultanpur Lodi, and you'll find this from the Guru Nanak docu-series, what's the message he's giving? The story goes he vanished for 3 days. Well, where he went, it doesn't matter. Whether he went on the jungles that side, or whether the story will say he went to the gods, this thing, and I don't know. I have no idea. But I am more concerned about what he says.
Eko dharma tride sach koi.
Connected with the consciousness, Guru Nanak was in awe of the omnipresent and only saw goodness in the universe.
Eko dharam dhride sach koi. Dhrina. Make it like a fulcrum. Dharam is not talking about dharam as we define today as religion. Dharam is righteousness. The conduct of right living, of being belonging to that one universal law of oneness of everything. Eko. Eko dharam dhride sach koi. That's the only reality that you have to make as a fulcrum. Inclusiveness. That's the message he gives. That moment of realization that you are trying to say, that's what he's saying. Okay. So Nanak as a force now travels around, comes back, passes a baton, unlike Kabir Sahib in the UP belt, where he does not pass a baton of leadership. And organization, by passing the baton, an organization starts forming. There are pros and cons of every act that you take. In the corporate leadership, every person, every corporate CEO is told to do a succession planning. Because whatever happens to you, you have to take the organization beyond you. The organization is more than you as an individual. Guru Nanak Sahib passes the baton to Guru Angad, Guru Amardas, Guru Ramdas. Socio-political situations in Punjab are evolving. We are at the gate. Punjab is the gateway of all the forefront issues happening. And at the time of Guru Gobind Singh, he takes certain steps to actually bring about, instill a spirit at that time. And that's just an evolution of history in the house of Nanak. But Kabir Sahib doesn't pass the baton. And therefore you see Kabir Sahib's writings today are very porous. Because from the time from UP they come to Punjab, the structure in Karachi, the structure, the verbiage in Maharashtra, they change. But Nanak is now into a structure. There are pros and cons of it. What a mighty empire it formed. Structure formed an empire. But structure also creates some issues around it. So I'm not passing judgment on right or wrong. But we need to realize what a structure does. And Guru Nanak took a decision, let's respect that. What a mighty force it created. It created an empire. And the Sindhis, in awe of Guru Nanak, accepted him. And that's why I want to actually write down out here is the righteousness. When Guru Nanak, the way I look at it is this way. Guru Nanak, when he's asked to wear the Janeyu, it's not the Janeyu that he's actually objecting against. It's the fundamental practice of what your thought is saying. He's asking, is the lower caste person going to wear the Janeyu? The Pandit says, no, it's only for certain category and above. Is my sister going to wear it? No, it's only for males. Discrimination based on gender, on caste. And he says, no, I want a Janeyu which is beyond this. That's the point he's trying to say. And I look at the beauty of the Sindhi culture and I say, actually Sindhi culture, at one time, most of the people will wear a Janeyu. They go beyond the caste. How is it any different? If you understand what I'm trying to say, at one end, Guru Nanak is saying, is this threat going to create a discrimination? And the other way of saying is, let us all wear it. It's the same thing, right? So the concept is here. Now, when we start evaluating this, look, there is no isms in our Indic traditions. There are panth. The word is panth. British has given us isms and we fall into that trap. Because isms come with boundaries. Panth is a definition where I will say people of same mindset come across a person with a certain leadership quality in the spiritual domain. That's how you define a panth. So you have, at the time of Guru Nanak, he's having immense amount of dialogue. You'll find in the Guru Nanak docu-series, time and again he's having dialogues with the Nath Panthis. Who are the Nath Panthis? They're Shaivites. Kanni Mundra Paike, Main Jana Jogi de Naal. They wear these they're Kanfatta yogis, right? That tradition is eloped today. But the Nath Yogis were in the pinnacle. When and where that tradition started from Guru Goraknath. Right? Bhartari Nath. So many other Chanpat Nath. There were so many Nath Shaivites. They were all Shaivites, followers of Shiva. But Guru Goraknath was in the 10th century. 550 years back, Guru Nanak is born. See, in 550 years, thought process has created so many issues inside it that Guru Nanak has to have dialogues with these people to revive that spirit. Because every thought in a few centuries will start going on a decline. And sometimes I say to my own community is that we are at the cusp point of 550 years. When he was having dialogues with Nath Yogis, why was he having dialogues with Nath Yogis? We are probably at the same cusp point. So let's get our act together. And he's having these dialogues with Nath Panthis. That was a Panth at that time, Nath Panthi. There is a Nanak Panth. And for those who do not know, I am telling you, many people are inside, many groups are there inside this Nanak Panth. Used to be there, it's getting codified more and more. Nanak Panth had many traditions which have all eloped. In the docu-series you'll find, we're bringing to the mention of a Panth, Sutra Shahi. Sutra Shahis are finished. It was a Nanak Panth. Outside the Lahore fort, there's a shrine of Sutra Shahis, right? Nanak Shahis. At the time of Banda Bahadur, after Guru Gobind Singh, there were Bandai Panth, right? Rababis, there were Muslim singers. That Panth was there. Bandai, Udasin Panth, right? We're talking about Nirmala, Gulam Dasi Panth finished. Ramdasiyas, Kukas, Namdharis today, right? Sutra Shahis finished. Sindhis are also a Panth because in their own way they are adherents of Nanak. And this is how this whole list of this thing is. And I will say where it's gravitating towards, I will show you. But let's just, this is not a figment of imagination because there's a Dadu Panth. There is a Kabir Panth. There is a Ravidasya Panth. In Odisha, there is a Chaitanya Panth. In the Bhakti period, there are many Panths, right? So we are talking about the Nanak Panth. That's the focus out here, right? So in this Nanak Panth, you were taking a picture. Shall I hold? Okay. So with this context, let's just go down, give you a bit of a context, the Sindhi angle that comes in. Look, Sindhu river defines a change. Earlier, prior to that, this was before the Persians and the Central Asians started coming to the Indian subcontinent from different places, like from the Sindh side, from Persia, or from the Khyber Pass, and Bolan Pass, and all these passes. When they started coming to the Sindhu River, the defining point of the Sindhu River was, on the east of the Sindhu River existed a civilization that had multiplicity inside it. Everything could coexist. That was the beauty of this civilization, that everything could coexist. But the people coming from the central side, Asia, were now into a monotheistic belief. Monotheistic is an Abrahamic faith. Nothing wrong with that faith, but it's a monotheism where they say God is one, which is Christianity, Judaism, Islam. And now Islam is followers are coming from. This is nothing about Islam as a religion that I'm saying out there. It's the people who are coming in, adherents of that, are now being very judgmental because they can't understand this culture on the east of Sindhu, which is so diverse. So diverse that an atheist can exist, a Vedic Vedant can exist, Sankhya can exist, materialists can exist. We are all materialists today, right? So everything could coexist. Buddha Dharma can exist, Buddha can exist, Jainis can exist, everything can exist, right? That's the beauty of the thing, and they can't define. So the culture on this side is the Sindhu culture. Sir becomes a her, it becomes a Hindu, because in Persian Sir is a her. Now, if you don't believe me, let's look at Kabir's verse from Guru Nanak Sahib. Kabir Sahib is saying, Hindu Turak, dohu samjha. Dono ko main samjha raha hu. He's not talking about Hindu, Musliman, dohu ko samjha. He's not talking about religions out there. Because today's definition of Hindu is also becoming a religion. It's a society, it's a culture on the east of the Sindhu River. He's talking about two cultures, Hindu and Turak. Turak is a Central Asian. He's saying, dono ko main samjha raha hu. He's talking about two cultures. Very clear? Yeah, it's from the Guru Nanak Sahib. It's like Sapta in Punjab becomes in Hafta in Lucknow. Right? Sir becomes a her. Okay. Now, where does the fragmentation start happening? We need to understand this timeline. It's very important, right? So, sometimes to understand yourself, you need to look at sources, which is how are the others seen. अपने को तो मैं डिफाइन कर सकता हूँ. I just keep saying मैं हूँ तो आप बोलोगे हाँ वो है. But how is the other seeing me? Is what the perception that the other has about me. Is what is going to define who I am. You don't define who you are. It's the other who defines who you are. Yes or no? Right? It's your conduct. It's your what you're doing. Others will form a perception about you. Okay. So I look at the texts that are being written by the Persian sources, not my own texts. I'm saying, how are the Persians in Punjab and this region of Indus region seeing us? And here's what comes out. In page 177 of Dabistan-e-Mazahib by Mubad, a Parsi priest from Persia who's coming into Punjab, and he's writing Nanak Panthis, also of course written in Farsi, but it's a translation, right? Nanak Panthis, also known as Guru Sikhs, do not believe in images or idol temples. He's using the word Nanak Panthi. Page 137, Dwara is the deputy of a representative of Har Gobind, that's the sixth Guru, Har Gobind Nanak Panthi, the Panth of Nanak. The word Sikh is not coming right now. 1699. Look, Guru Nanak has already put the word, I'm not saying Sikh word is wrong, because when you see the Guru Nanak talking series, the earliest Shishya who came to him at Kartarpur is who became the earliest Sikhs. And all the names from Bhai Gurdas's War is there in the episode 23 have been written down. They're the earliest adherents of Nanak at the banks of Kartarpur, and they, from the word Shishya, become Sikhs. There's nothing wrong with that. But how the others see us, right? So there are so many strands that are happening at the same time. But in 1699, because with all that's happening in Punjab, with the Central Asian invasions happening, it's on the forefront. It's facing this continuous onslaught, right? And Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Nanak, has to now say, and by the way, 6th Guru has already started the process because he picked up the sword to defend. You can't just keep lying low. 6th Guru has already started the process. 9th Guru has got beheaded. And finally, Guru Gobind Singh says, we have to have the ability to defend ourselves. He's not fighting against a religion, because if you say the narrative today, he was fighting against the Muslims, no! Because Pir Buddhan Shah saves him. There's so many narratives of, in his soldiery, there are so many other Islamic followers also who were with him, right? It's one of the concepts, principle. He calls for a congregation and the Khalsa formation happens. And the only point I would want to say out here is, not everyone becomes a Khalsa. In our narrative, you have to look at it. Nandlal Goya, who is a Persian poet, who was from Multan, who's written a lot of poetry in Farsi, is in with Guru Gobind Singh. He is still today not Nandlal Goya Singh. That's all I'm going to say. In our narrative, we say Bhai Kanhaiya. We'll talk about the Sindhi aspect of Kanhaiya going to Shikarpur, Bhai Kanhaiya. Bhai Kanhaiya remains as Bhai Kanhaiya and not Bhai Kanhaiya Singh. That's all I'm trying to say. Everyone coexisted. There was a need for a military, and for the Sikhs who did adopt, my forefathers, if my forefather at that time had adopted this form, our head was on a price. This was a price possession. Chop this head, you get a reward from the government. So not everyone became Sikhs, as we define today, because they would have to live in jungles. So, then comes the moment of formation of the Lahore Darbar, 1799. I'm using the word Lahore Darbar. I'm not using the Sikh Empire, which we've been ingrained to believe by the narratives that the British have given to us. They write Anglo-Sikh War. There's no Anglo-Sikh War. The Muslim poet in Ranjit Singh's Darbar, after the first so-called Anglo-Sikh War, which the British are saying, he's writing Jang Hind Punjab di hon lagi. On this side, Punjab is separate, Lahore Darbar is separate empire, and this side British have already consolidated. Although it's a part of Hind, but right now Hind has been taken over by British. And he says, Jang Hind Punjab di hon lagi. He's not saying Jang Anglo-Sikh di hon lagi. You see the difference? It's a narrative that's been given to you, been conditioned to believe in that. So there is, in this beautiful empire that gets formed, it's a very syncretic empire. Hindus, Muslims, Khalsas, all of them are a part of the force, right? Some of the greatest generals, of course, was like Hari Singh Nalwa, Akali Phula Singh, but if by today's definition of what a Hindu is, okay, his great ministers in his courts were so-called Hindus, if you say, for today's definition. But they were all adherents of Nanak at that time, right? And you had the Muslims, approximately 52% of his force was the Muslims, right? Punjab had a large population of Muslims in the greater Punjab. And they were fighting. His Tosha Khana's minister was a Muslim. His finance minister was a Muslim. His foreign minister was a Muslim, so very different. It was a very secular empire he forms. But the British like to call it a Sikh empire because they're seeing a man with a turban leading it. So like they're seeing in Delhi, it's an Islamic empire. A man who's following Islam is ruling it, so it becomes an Islamic empire. So British is taking over from an Islamic empire in India. So they have this tendency of making black and white, but it's not as black and white. And therefore, after the 1849, British enter inside many fractures start happening. 1849, the so-called Anglo-Sikh war, I'm calling it as Anglo-Punjab war, because I see it as an inclusive thing, happens. 1849, they impose the language policy because they come in with having mastered Urdu across the whole of land of India. And now when they're going on that side, they have this decision to make whether should we teach them Urdu or should we learn Persian to manage this land of Indus. They've already taken off Sindh before Punjab. They decide to teach them Urdu because they've been ruling India for more than 100 years. So their staff who knows Urdu goes into Punjab and changes the language policy. 1857, 1859 to 1891, first few elements of fragmentation start happening. They're doing census, and in census, they start putting down these questions of who you are. And now, and you see those censuses, they are changing. Sometimes the Udasin sadhus say, we are Sikhs. The next time they become, we are Udasins. The next time again they become Sikhs. They keep changing. Right? And then comes in this fragmentation of course, the incentive to keep a form after the revolt of 1857. And by the way, I don't believe in this narrative that the first war of independence in 1857. I would say first war of, where do you want to start the line? If the Purgia soldiers wouldn't have entered the Punjab in 1849, maybe the first war of independence would have been 1849. The India would have been independent by that time. So the question is all, where do you want to draw a line? But we've been made to believe that first war is 1857. Sorry. So 1857, Punjabi soldiers who've been taken over, for 9 years they've had no employment. No employment since 1849 to 1857, 8 years, right? 8-9 years. And they are brought in, and this is one against the other, right? 1870s, the technology revolution comes in, printing press comes in. It's like the internet revolution coming in, printing press comes in, now Bible can be printed. They don't give the printing press as a technology to everyone. It's like when the internet came in, it's not doesn't belong to everyone. Today it is with everyone. But in early days, it was being used to spread Christianity. And as the Bible starts entrenching, the first few conversions start happening. That results in a very interesting thing that 3 movements rise in Punjab in opposition. Arya Samaj, it is already happening. Jamaat in the Muslims and the Singh Sabha in the Sikh domain. As an opposition to the earliest conversions that have happened, let's get our act together. Everyone's concerned that people are converting. And this leads to, I'm not going to, into the interest of time, I'm not going to get into details of this, but this results in an evolution that results in the Gurdwara reform movement. But 1919, the first few successes happen, resulting in ousting of some Mahants from the Gurdwaras. 1925, SGPC gets formed in earlier 1919. 1925, the first resolution comes out defining the Sikh Rehat Maryada, the code. Now, people can tell you the code is coming from Guru Gobind Singh's time or this time, that time. There are so many codes of conduct because we are dealing with a Panth. Panth is not a unified code of conduct. You are sitting in Kartarpur, you'll have a different conduct, in Sindh you'll have a different conduct, in Bihar you'll have a different conduct around the same thing, right? So what's so black and white? So 1925 you codified into a Rehat Maryada. I always say, it's a history that I've actually inherited, but when you define something, keep your mind open that you also define who the other is not. If I define myself, then I also define who my friend is not. The seed has been sown. 1947 is a drastic event of partition, ousting from our lands. Historically, we have lived as a DNA in those lands. Suddenly, we become homeless. Punjab still has a waggling tail inside the East Punjab, and we redefine from Nankana to Darbar Sahib. We redefine the narrative. Sindh, everything is lost. You have nothing. Sindhi, wherever he lands in, he has to adopt that culture, that language, everything he has to adopt. So you are forced to change. Now, It's an interesting one, not many people overlook. I said 1971 in Delhi, the Gurdwaras Act, approved by the Parliament, defines the further definition of who is a Sikh, the one who keeps an unshorn hair. Now, visibly, the other becomes the other also. And that seed now has started growing into a tree. And with all the outcomes that are happening, then the 1980s unfortunate Punjab problem, 1970s to 80s, you've seen the very bad phase, many political issues, 1984 issues of the, I don't call it as anti-Sikh riots, I call it a pogrom, right? Because it was a massacre, right? It's not a riot. Riot happens when two people fight, right? But everything leads to one to the other. And now we have inherited what we have inherited today. The seed, बीज बो दिया गया था, बीज बड़ा होते जा रहा है. अब बहती गंगा में सब चलते चलो. That's all I can say. I'm not here to say what's right or wrong. I'm just telling you the evolution. As I said, keep your conditioning outside. Some people may not like what I'm saying that, but this is a fact of the history. Right? Okay. Now I'll get down to I had to put this background out there to get you guys up to the speed of this because this is important. And now I'll quickly move forward in the next 20 minutes to bring this to closure. 1947, it's not the India-Pakistan that gets formed. You see, societies live in it's like a balloon. हवा भर रहे balloon बड़ा होता जा रहा है. Cultures ऐसे होते हैं, बड़े होते जाते हैं, फैलते जाते हैं. But when you draw a line like that cliff line, and you create Pakistan, don't forget you have to create a Pakistan not by dividing this line. You have to also divide another line to create a state, right? People forget that. You have to draw two lines to make a country. So what gets drawn is not the Ratcliffe line alone, it also is the Durham line on the other side. And a culture that was along the Indus, from Afghanistan till here, both the sides. Now, two lines are defining the boundary of a balloon. The balloon is going to get punctured. That's exactly what has happened. When you divide into two, अब जब एक society होती है, अगर कुछ right हो भी जाता है, what do? You pack your bags and go on the other side. When there's peace, you come back, right? But now you made this definition so hard that the Nanak's followers who are here have nowhere to go here, because this state is defined on religion. They can't come here. You have to jump down and come here. There are people of that state. Earlier it was all congruent. Neither can this happen here to here or here to there. So now you created a definition around this. From a Sindh context, people from the Indus River region, just like all the others, migrated as a first stop into India. Sindhis have been migrating from much before. The business community has been migrating for a long time, right? But partition results in a massive exodus, like it results. No one talks about Balochis. You like to define by Hindus? What happens to Balochi Hindus? There are so many of them in Bangalore, in Mumbai. They don't even know who they are. Sindhis at least will still know who they are. That community doesn't even know who they are. They come to this side, and then from there starts the other global migration. But in the process, four things have happened. Your philosophy continues to get fragmented. You're trying to hold on, but philosophy is getting fragmented because you've lost the footing under your entire philosophy. Right? The land is gone. It results in a cultural loss. That's why this whole gallery is being put up. You have to revive the culture, but a lot of water has gone under the bridge. We're trying to save डूबते को तिनका का सहारा. डूब ही रहे ना सब, right? Your language is gone. Be it Punjab itself, be it Sindhi, it's gone. Script is gone. Heritage. Lastly, who cares about the roti kapda makan होगा तभी तो आप heritage की बात करोगे. Roti kapda makan ही नहीं होगा तो क्या बात करोगे? So struggles. You might say Sindhi is like this, Sindhi is like that. Come on, man, you lost everything. You got to struggle to make it, right? Look at the struggles they've had to go through there. So you've lost everything. And then I want to tell you what I learned in my travels across the entire land of Sindh is this land of what is in Pakistan. This is the 5 lands of 5 rivers coming into Sindh and going down. 50 kilometers east of Sindh, of the Indus River, and going up till the Afghanistan border, is a land where I call as a concentration of the Nanak Panthis, followers of Sindhi adherents of Nanak. You come on this side, Tharparkar, the desert land which is the Thar desert. It is an area where Jain or elements of the Gangetic Hinduism is more prevalent. But the Nanak Panthi culture and the amalgamation, a mixture, is in that green, in that blue zone, right up there. Okay? Okay, now as you travel across this region, what do I start noticing? Now it's all visuals I'm going to show you, right? Okay, I'm seeing in the ruins of the Gurdwaras of the Indus. Someone told me when I go to do this work, many years back in 2016, my first book came out. I was at the Liberating Hotel. Someone asked me, Amardeep, you did this great book. When are you going to do this work in East Punjab? I said, why do you want me to come in to do a book on East Punjab? Do it yourself, right? It doesn't excite me. Because all I see is gold and marble. It doesn't tell me a story. What excites me there are these ruins. It gives me a chance to understand what my forefathers were thinking in the ruins. When I look at these Gurdwaras, but in the Gurdwaras, I've got Nanak sitting here with all the other gurus. My Maulana is playing the rabab, and you've got Ram and Hanuman also. It is what it is. I've seen it myself. I've got pictures up there. It's a coexistence. Because that follower of Ram also had an affinity for Nanak. That's all I want to say. It's not that Nanak's followers are being misled. He also had an affinity for Nanak's wideness of inclusiveness. That's the message of it. Right? You got here? In the ruins, Nanak and with Krishna. These are all actual pictures that I've clicked in the ruins. Guru Gobind Singh, without that. All I'm saying is the people had their mindset to accept a wider range. That's what I'm trying to say. Who's right or wrong is not what's my subject out there. Right? This is a picture from a Gurdwara. I will not do this work in East Punjab because Shravan Kumar cannot find a place in the Gurdwaras in East Punjab. Shravan Kumar is not about a story of a Hindu or a Sikh. It's about a story of a moral value of respect to your parents when they become aged and the parents say we want to go for Tirath. Although Nanak discards Tirath. Philosophically, Nanak is talking nothing about Tirath. He is Tirath andar hi hai, man ke andar hai. But yet, there's a story that tells you a moral value of respect to your parents. When they say we want to go, kandhe pe leke jata hai. To me, that's the story. That's the beauty. And that could find a place in these ruins. But also look at it, Gurmukhi is also there, Sindhi script is also there. The same Bani is being written, Gurbani is being written in the Sindhi script also. So language is not a barrier for wisdom, right? And this is a pure Gurdwara. So I want to define out here, the difference between a Darbar and a Gurdwara is out here. In the Shikarpur Darbar, Guru Nanak Sahib is right there. But look at it. I look at the wow factor when I was taking this picture. The Sindhi comes in. He doesn't bow in front of Guru Nanak Sahib like a Punjabi does, which is much easier. He goes underneath this thing and he's doing a much more intense point down. This is the love for it. We just go in front and bow and your heart is like right? He's doing a lot of intense respect for which he's giving. I mean, you will say, kya kar raha hai? That's his dedication, that's his devotion, right? This is a typical Gurdwara in Sindh, Kandkot. Actually, I found it very interesting. And I say it's the innocence of the Sindhis, that they don't understand the complexities of the evolutions. That these new Gurdwaras that are opening, and I look at it and I say, यार तुम्हें क्या जरूरत पड़ी है उस लैंड के अंदर जहां पे इतने तुम्हारी कोई माइनॉरिटी है 10 परिवार हो तुमने इतने सारे खंडे लगा दिए इतने सारे एक ओंकार बनाए व्हाट आर ट्राइंग टू इट्स अ मार्केटिंग कैंपेन राइट व्हाट आर ट्राइंग टू प्रोक्लेम that we are still existing I see it as that we are still existing 10 of us are there but we are still existing this is pure Gurdwara but the beauty is that you don't understand the nuisance values of places. And I didn't say anything to them. They invited me, Dada took me there, gave me langar. I didn't say this to him. But I left had this kind of a smile inside saying, poor Dada could not understand what has happened. There's a cynical smile I had in my mind. Because he writes out there, देखिए हमारा ये सिंह सभा गुरुद्वारा है. I say, Singh Sabha, define who you are. You know, go back to that. We defined who we are in 1925, the formation of Singh. We defined who we are. Today, you are seeing in the televisions, and you're seeing the wave of things coming from Punjab, and you think, ye to Singh Sabha Gurdwara, ye style hota hai. But the deeper imports of the messages inside, I'm not even Singh Sabha, don't get me wrong, it's an evolution, right? But it's the innocence of that person I'm seeing. You could simply call it as Gurdwara and leave it there, right? But he doesn't understand what it is, right? So, to me that was an interesting observation. And I'm looking at Dharki, right? Look at the Seva Bhav. You think only Punjabis are doing this? There's a lot of langar preparations, वहाँ पर सेवा कर रहे हैं, you know. It's no different. It's no different. Lot of Seva Bhav. We can define and we can say you're doing right or wrong. Look at the Seva Bhav, right? So therefore I say live and let live, right? Look at in Khatwari Darbar. Khatwari Darbar is also in Mumbai, right? Aruna, right?
Khar, it is.
है ना Khatwari Darbar?
It's in Khar.
हाँ जी?
Khar में.
Khar, right? Khar. But उसका origin जो है शिकारपुर में यहाँ पर,
हाँ,
right?
so that's Khatta. Khatta is the court.
तो खट की क्या story?
So it's basically Khattawari Darbar, and Khatta is the court, and the idea was that there was some kind of a well-known guru or saint who used
मैं
to
बताता
say,
हूँ।
वो वहाँ पे खट
अब मैं
पे
बताता हूँ
रहते
story। Thank you for giving that. खट से खाट वही होती है।
खट।
मेरे बोलने का तरीका लहजा थोड़ा फर्क हो सकता है। खाट वही दरबार, पंजाबी लहजा हो सकता है। खट वही दरबार, ठीक है ना? खाट के ऊपर, खाट के ऊपर, उस बेड के ऊपर कोई सेंट बैठा है। वो कोई सेंट नहीं है, उसकी बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है। पर वहां तक जाने से पहले देखें, ये उनके गोल्ड के दरवाजे, वो दादा ने ना बहुत, इट वाज वेरी नाइस। मैंने कहते हैं अमरदीप आपने इतना टाइम लगाया, मैं दिखाता हूँ आपको कुछ। वो दरवाजा अंदर उन्होंने बंद करके रखा हुआ है। ये इनके खटवारी दरबार पे सोने में और सिल्वर में दरवाजे होते हैं। जैसे आप दरबार साहब अमृतसर में चले जाएं तो गोल्ड में आपको दरवाजे मिलते हैं ना। सो मच ऑफ डिवोशन इज गॉन इनटू दी क्रिएटिंग दीस आर्टवर्क्स, राइट? उन्होंने वहां पे भी ये दरवाजे अब निकाल दिए। इनको डर है कि कोई लेना चाहे तो उसको अंदर कर दिया स्टोरेज में। बट ही टुक इट आउट एंड शोड इट मी एंड आई वाज सो हम्बल्ड बाय द एफर्ट ही टू। ही कुड हैव सेड नो, राइट? अच्छा, मैंने पिक्चर ली है। ये जो पैनल्स में ना, ये पैनल्स में या मेरी किताब में गुरु नानक, गुरु अंगद, गुरु अमरदास, गुरु रामदास, गुरु चंदेव, गुरु हरगोविंद, गुरु हरराय, गुरु हरकिशन, गुरु तेग बहादुर, गुरु गोबिंद सिंह, भाई कन्हैया विद गुरु गोबिंद सिंह। खाट की स्टोरी बता रहा हूँ। भाई कन्हैया विद गुरु गोबिंद सिंह, बाबा काशीदास, बाबा मेवादास, जिन्होंने खाटवारी दरबार की स्थापना की थी। पर जो स्टोरी है खाट की वो है भाई कन्हैया। द सिक्स आउट हु वुड नो भाई कन्हैया, मे बी द सिंधीज डोंट नो हिम, राइट? खाटवारी दरबार की जो स्टोरी है वो ये है। ये वहां पर डिपिक्शन है। जो यहाँ पर आप देख रहे हैं, ये गुरु गोबिंद सिंह बैठे हैं और ये भाई कन्हैया। ओके, इन पंजाब दे से the first act of the Red Cross of modern world was when Guru Gobind Singh was fighting the battle at Anandpur Sahib. भाई कन्हैया अपनी मशक लेके जाके सबको पानी पिला रहे थे। तो उसमें जो औरंगजेब, जो वहाँ की जो फोर्सेज, जो औरंगजेब ब्रॉडर एम्पायर की जो वहाँ के फोर्सेज जो फाइट कर रही थी, उनके भी वुंडेड सोल्जर को पानी पिला रहे थे। So someone went and complained that we fight with these guys, Kन्हैया goes and puts the bandage and he's giving them water, right? Guru Gobind Singh said he has understood the message because it's not a fight against a particular religion, it's a fight against principles. And if he's acting like a Red Cross, that Bhai Kanhaiya later on was given the instruction by Guru Gobind Singh to go to Sindh. The narrative of Bhai Kanhaiya in Punjab stops with only the giving of the water. It doesn't go beyond. No one knows about it. But he appears in Sindh, and the Sindhi mythical references goes, वो खट पे बैठ के, mythical aspects always come in, right? खट पे बैठ के पंजाब से हमारे पास आए और यहाँ पर उन्होंने दरबार लगाया। This is not a small coincidence, right? खट वाली दरबार जो आपकी बॉम्बे में है, उसकी वो डिफरेंट सोसाइटी हो गई है, but the origins are basically भाई कन्हैया। Inside the Khatwari Darbar, these paintings of Guru Nanak, and so the Bhakti period is much broader. You are seeing Kabir Sahib and his wife, and he's living out there. Inside the Khatwari Darbar, Bhakti period's amalgamation is happening in the river Indus. I told you before, the humble act of bringing together the writings of Baba Farid, by Guru Nanak resulted in the amalgamation of the entire Indian subcontinent's writing. There are close to 800 verses of Kabir Sahib and the others in the Guru Granth Sahib. And we don't tell the story. Any UPI till about 40 years back, anyone who has done any study on Kabir Sahib has looked into the depths of Guru Granth Sahib. Today in the modern context that is getting lost because we boxed it. Anyone doing research on Kabir would have read the old authors. Kabir Sahib would have been only referred to the Guru Granth Sahib. Bijak came much later. Kabir Granthavali came much later. The oldest documented source for both Baba Farid and Guru and Bhagat Kabir is inside the Guru Granth Sahib. Okay, but at the same Khatwari Darbar, it's a Darbar, it's not a Gurdwara. You also have Vishnu sitting on the snake. You also have Krishna. That's the culture. But I started with the story of being on the fish. For the Sindhi, by Kanhaiya's advent to bring about a change, to bring about a new thought process, it's all about coming on the fish. Inside the Khatwari Darbar, look at it in Gurumukhi script, they've written it. And this is the murti of Bhai Kanhaiya coming on the fish. Now look at it. Jhule Lal, Zahir Peer, Zinda Peer, Nanak coming on the fish. I started with that. Even Bhai Kanhaiya comes on the fish. Fish is very important. I don't know if Sindhis were like Bengalis in the fish aspect, but fish is very important. Okay? And that's the piece I'm talking about. In Gurumukhi is written that from Janam Sakhi, this thing, I don't want to spend more time, but I can read it, but it's about the dialogue, Nanak has come on the fish, that's happening out here. Okay, inside these darbars, the Hatpanthi script, the old script, it's a trader script. And in that, they're writing on the top, it's like when we write in our account books and all, upar koi Om likh dega, koi Ek Onkar likh dega. On the marble slabs, Ek Onkar. On the slabs. These are the traders writing it. How can you divide it? How can you say it's my exclusive property? They are writing it out of it, right? Look at the amalgamation of the scripts coming together in Sindh. I find this very fascinating. Devanagari and Gurumukhi amalgamating to create a new kind of a form. I'm scratching my head. But it is what it is. अब देखो Gurumukhi में कोई आधा लेटर नहीं होता. Per means papa. पूरा होगा, right? But प्यारे becomes आधा पर. Yaya becomes like a year of Devanagari, right? अब यहाँ पे देखो अर्पण, ऋण becomes a Hindi ऋण. It's not Gurumukhi ऋण. It's an amalgamation happening here. खिचड़ी बना लो, कुछ भी बन रही है कुछ, right? But look at it. English is also there. Gurumukhi is also there. Devanagari is also there. Shankar Anand Bharti temple. Guru Gobind Singh is equally revered, as Guru Nanak is revered, as swastik or everything is there. I'm not going to pass any judgment on anyone. I'm not going to say this is right or wrong. It is what it is. What are we doing? Can we pass judgments on ourselves? What we are doing is everything is 100% correct. Majority of things that we are doing is contrary to what Guru Nanak said. Interestingly, Udere Lal Darbar. Again, Udere Lal is a big personality in the Sindhi culture. In the paucity of time, I can't get into debate, can't get into these stories of each saying, but again, look at it. Hindi, Gurumukhi, Sindhi, Hatpanthi, English, all is coexisting. Even languages coexist. They could have just written in English, right? But they're giving space to everything. How inclusive it is, right? Shri Amar Lal Je Darbar Je Marammat Nal Pramayo Peti. Shri Amar Lal ke Darbar ki marammat ke liye dharmao pati. Whatever it is, right? Okay. Dada Revachand. What a contribution he has. What a humble man. What a humble man. Dada Revachand. I saw in Shikarpur a Guru Granth Sahib which is with meaning in something like, normally it's 1430 pages in the standardized Granth Sahib that we have. This is with the translations 8,000 pages. Oh, wow, man, it's written in Punjabi. What a it's lying just abandoned, right? Dada Reva Chand has printed 22 volumes of Guru Granth Sahib in Sindhi script, which is here. Gurumukhi with Sindhi, with meaning, translation. And he says 22 copies, 2000 of each copy. And his one background, he took me to his room. ये देखो यार मैंने ये प्रिंट करा दिया, कोई पढ़ता नहीं है यार, इसको ना सिंगापुर लेके जाओ। मैंने कहा दादा सिंधी कौन पढ़ता है आजकल? It's a big problem, right? If you all the Sindhi community can help Dada Reva Chand, I can put you.
26 volumes, not 20.
हाँ जी.
There are 26 volumes.
Okay, मेरी सी गलती है. 26. Okay, you know him. Sorry अगर मैं बोलते बहुत चीज़ गलत ही बोल जाता हूँ. Tongue of slip of tongue. But thank you for correcting that. आगे से मैं 26. You know Dada Reva Chand, है ना? You met him जी. हाँ तो ये बड़ा उनका contribution है. Very humble person. दरबारों के अंदर दुख होता है कि ये बिकॉज कम्युनिटी चली गई है. आई एम नॉट ब्लेमिंग एनीवन. बोरियों के अंदर ये लिटरेचर सड़ रहा है. कम्युनिटीज हैव लेफ्ट, नो वन टू टेक केयर. जन्म साखी लिटरेचर, ब्यूटीफुल जन्म साखी. Some of them I opened up, I tried to pull it down. Punjab does not have the only custody of this. Let's get it right. There's so much of treasure lying there. It's the pain that the communities have left, and that's the piece that you need to understand. And I just have to now show one or two things with deep insights and try and bring this to an end. Sadhu Bela. Aruna actually told me Sadhu Bela ke baare mein, so I told her, okay, Sadhu Bela ko dikhaunga isme, right? So Sadhu Bela, how deep was the Nanak Panthi culture? Anyone's heard about Sadhu Bela out here? Apart from the Sindhis? Okay, the Punjabis have heard of Sadhu Bela? Okay. Sadhu Bela, this is the river Indus. This is the temple, Sadhu Bela temple. Darbar. Darbar means everything coexists. Guru Granth Sahib has been. Now, this island was established by Bankhandi Maharaj. Baba Bankhandi Maharaj. Research about Baba Bankhandi Maharaj. Internet opens us a lot of sources of information. Baba Bankhandi Maharaj was not a Sindhi. He was from Nepal. What is he doing in Sindh? As we did the Guru Nanak docu-series, you'll see it in those 24 episodes how deeply messages are coming inside from Bihar, from UP, from Odisha, of the traditions that are eloped of the Nanak Panth. And Baba Bankhandi Maharaj is an example of that. As a Nepali sadhu under the Udasin tradition, he comes to Amritsar, learns Guru Nanak's philosophy, learns the Guru Granth Sahib, comes to Sindh, establishes this darbar, and this continues. And today also it has a great reference there. Sadhu Bela, right?
Sindh is in the crossroads of land and sea routes. It borders Punjab and Balochistan in Pakistan and Rajasthan and Gujarat in India. Historically, cultures, civilizations, faiths and philosophies converged in Sindh. It is probably for this reason that Guru Nanak also visited Sindh to interact with different cultures and faiths. Famous for the Mohenjo-daro civilization, Sindh derives its name because of its close proximity to the Sindhu river, which is also known as the Indus. For centuries, Hinduism and Buddhism were the integral belief systems of this region. Later, Sufism too blossomed here. Historically, natives of Sindh have been known for this syncretism. Guru Nanak's message of universal fellowship and monism became deeply embedded in the socio-religious beliefs of Sindh. The philosophy of Guru Nanak resonated with the people of this region, primarily of Hindu background, who came to be known as Nanak Panthis. At Sakhar, we visit the island in the river Indus, where exists a historic Nanak Panthi temple known as Sadhu Bela. Sindh is a mystical land which has always fascinated me. It is here that the faiths start merging. Whether one is a Hindu, Sufi, or a Sikh, they become one. At Sadhu Bela temple, inscriptions of Guru Nanak's verses on its walls are a testimony of the impact of Guru Nanak's philosophy in this region. In the sanctum sanctorum of the temple, both Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu scripture, and the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scripture, are enshrined.
Here, the point I just want to show you what the darbar is from this side. That's all I want to show you, right? Okay. Now I'll tell you an interesting thing that we missed it in this book. Missed it. See, it's a process of learning. I clicked the picture of this one, this is from this book. I missed it. A deeper element of what that picture was trying to tell me. But when we were filming the Guru Nanak docu-series, it dawned on us, and my wife spotted it at that time, and it didn't dawn on her. Wow! This tells me what, and in the beginning of Guru Nanak docu-series, we've been loyal to Guru Nanak. We are not being loyal to any particular community. I'm being loyal to Guru Nanak. I'll tell the story from whichever angle of Nanak's followers it will come. My loyalty is not to any community in that, because I'm telling a story of Nanak. So here's what happens. I've already told you, Bankhandi ji goes out there, at the entrance, this picture is from there. ऊपर लिखा हुआ है दोनों उदासीन ना फेंके. They talk about Nanak and Bankhandi. कोई difference नहीं है. ठीक है, cultural revolution, whatever it is. I'm going to skip this line because this is where the clue is. It says here, एक ओंकार, Guru Nanak's verse, एक ओंकार, श्री गुरु बनखंडी जी सहाय, पौड़ी, जिथे basin साध जन. This is Guru Nanak's verse from Guru Granth Sahib. And Nanak is written here. And this is exact verse from Guru Granth Sahib. Nanak jache ek naam, man tan pavanda. So it's the Guru Granth Sahib's verses. No issues. Right? But now here's the clue to the whole thing, which we missed it. Ekumkar written here, the first line. Ekumkar, what's written out here? Shri Guru Shri Chand Dev Ji Sahib. Okay? Now Shri Chand is Guru Nanak's son. There are Udaseens today, modern world follow Baba Shri Chand. There's a push and pull narrative going on. Okay, here's the clue. Do you see Shri Chand is smaller than Guru and Dev? Do you see that? It's smaller? Yes or no? Yeah? Okay. Put the hand under this. It is Nanak. Tells you the fragmentation in the society. Ekomkar Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sahai is what is written there. When I put my hand, it is Nanak written there. But because you defined yourself, because the fragmentations that I showed you in the earlier evolutions, at some point you ousted and the people had to redefine. They are still attached to the house of Nanak, but they had to bring Shri Chand in front because you ousted them. That's the only message I would like to give. Because you oust someone, they are still trying to attach to Guru Nanak. I simply say, look, in our tradition in Punjab, we have made Baba Shri Chand into a very negative kind of a association we give him, right? Simply ask yourself this question. If he was so negative, why did Guru Har Gobind, the sixth Guru, give his eldest son to the Shri Chand to run his commune there? There are Panths, right? To run his commune. Your sixth Guru is giving his eldest son. Was he doing wrong? Who are you to pass judgment? But the fragmentations that have happened, Baba Shri Chand had to be brought in front because he had to be brought in because you ousted the others to believe in Nanak. You get the message I'm trying to get? Yes or no? Or is it too deep? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. This was a wow moment for me. And therefore I say, and in Guru Nanak docu-series, बहुत कुछ बोलते बोलते we stop there because our objective is not to create further fragmentation. We want you to learn and see through the layers and understand for yourself. If there's another story, I know I might get beheaded, but I can talk about this at some other time. There's so many fragmentations of stories that have happened, but this tells you that, right? And that's inside the Darbar also in Sindhi language, right? Still Ek Onkar is written there. I just want to bring this too quickly to an end, show you some of the examples. In Karachi, Satya Narayan Temple. Sindhis believe in Satya Narayan as the form of Vishnu, I think, right? So, Gurdwara and Satya Narayan Temple coexist. From one place you go inside the other. That's how it exists.
Swami
This is
Narayan.
different.
Swami Narayan. Swami Narayan.
And that's different. That's a sampradaya.
Yeah, that's a sampradaya, sorry. So it's not Satyanarayana, it's Swami Narayan,
Yeah.
right? But that also is Vishnu, right? Or no?
Technically, yes. Sajanand Swami
Okay.
established the Swami Narayan
Okay.
Panthi.
So that's how it coexists. That's the only point visually I'm
Yeah.
making, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay. Now I told you about the Balochi, Balochi community. No one talks about it. In Karachi, this is the Bhagnari community.
Yeah.
Bhagnaris are basically from Balochistan. A very small community. In Bombay, there are many Bhagnaris.
Yes.
No one talks about them. They themselves are confused who they are. Right? This is the Gurdwara. This is the Ek Onkar, and in their script is written there, and the Bhagnari Mandir also coexisting. That's Sindh. That's the Balochi people out there. And in Sindh, abandoned Arambagh Gurdwara. This was a very painful moment. I felt. You see that picture of Guru Nanak? This one? Lying here, abandoned. Everything's gone. Nanak's lying abandoned, right? Visually doesn't matter. Nanak's face visually doesn't matter, but yet emotionally you look at it. Yeah? Abandoned Ratan Talab Gurdwara in Karachi. One of the Pakistani person has written a story about this. At the Ratan Talab there was a big massacre.
I was about to say, those were the Namdhari Sikhs at
Okay.
the time of partition.
Yeah.
48.
Yeah.
6 January 48.
Yeah, 48. It was a big massacre because Sindh experienced the
Yeah.
exodus much later.
Yeah.
Although it started earlier, but also these massacres happened much later because Muhajirs came in and the problem started and there was a big massacre here. But you know what? I noticed this was lying on the other end and this was lying on the other end. So we cleaned up this whole thing, brought the two and brought it together. Someday there's hope. He made the Ek Onkar once again and left it there. Someone said that take it with you. I said, I don't want to take anything. I'll only take pictures and memories. Right? And Halani Darbar, just literally one or two more things and I'm bringing it to an end. Halani Darbar. Guru Granth Sahib in Sindhi script. Exact. There's no other Granth. Guru Granth Sahib, Nanak's Granth. And the Guru Granth Sahib here. But look at the interiors of the Darbar.
In this Darbar, we are finding the Sindhi, in the Sindhi script, the Guru Granth Sahib, in the Gurmukhi script, the Granth Sahib, plus the Bhagavad Gita kept there. The beauty of this Darbar is seen in the frescoes on the walls. Guru Nanak's fresco on this wall. Sindh is a place where faiths amalgamate, but this is the beauty of the Nanak Panthi culture. They are very syncretic and they accept Sufism, Sikhism, as well as Hinduism. Guru Nanak and his philosophy remains to be the central fulcrum in these remote villages where you barely find one or two people holding on to the philosophy of Guru Granth Sahib.
I'm using the word ism out here, not that I'm contradicting myself, but it's my own evolution also out here. Videos were made a long time back, I can't go and change it now, right? But मैंने इसको use करना बंद कर दिया है because I've started, it's my own evolution, right? So, but you know what? Halani is near Sachal Sarmats. It cannot be seen in India of today. It was filmed in Quetta. But to me, the congruent region, I said east of 50 kilometers east of Indus, right up till the Afghanistan border, Quetta, I clicked this picture. You will not find this in India today. Because fragmentations have gone too far beyond. Evolutions in Punjab went the way they went. I told you after the earliest conversions with Jamaat, Arya Samaj, Singh Sabha, and the divides that happened. But the remotest places, that's why I like to work in these areas because they tell a different story. That's the beauty of it. And I want to show you here. Quetta, Arya Samaj Mandir. Arya Samaj Mandir established in 1939. You go inside, he's reading Sipwani Sahib ka part from in the Gurmukhi script. Cannot happen here. Pandit Gopal, Ek Omkar, Darbar Sahib, Jhulelal, Krishna, Guru Nanak, Guru Arjan Dev, Guru Gobind Singh. Right here is Guru Granth Sahib. Udero Lal Granth. Gita. But the space inside the Arya Samaj Mandir cannot happen in India now. Do we agree or no? And vice versa. Let's not blame one side. Vice versa cannot happen. Fragmentations are too deep now. But sometimes when societies are left on their own, they offer something beauty of the past to say, wow, what it was. In Quetta itself, the Sindhi, in the Sindhi script, the Guru Granth Sahib, amongst all the people doing the evening prayer, there's only one turban Sikh who's standing here. And I was the only second one who happened to be there. And they're doing the same part as what we are doing. Nothing different. This is a very emotional thing. I just want to tell the story out here. Is the last slide I'm bringing it out here is just on two emotional slides. Bansri Lal. This is though in the Punjab side, but the reflection is still of the Indus belt. So there was some intelligence guys trailing. So of course he was not talking. And when we walked and those guys were a bit behind me, then he says, Amardeep Sahib, I'll say it in Punjabi, right? I hope you don't, if you don't understand, ask me, right? साढ़े नाल बड़ा बुरा है हमारे साथ बहुत बुरा हो पहले ट्रांसलेट है ना असी इथे दे रहे ना असी उथे दे रहे ना यहाँ के रहे ना वहाँ के रहे मैं क्या बंसीलाल जी की कहना भाव है थोड़ा आपका क्या बोलने का भाव है कहते देखो जी सारे चले गए तो असी थोड़े से बंदे हैं सारे चले गए यहाँ से हम थोड़े से बंदे हैं अब रोटी बेटी का भी रिश्ता मुश्किल हो गया असी सारे सिखी है ना हम सब सिखी है गुरु नानक को मानते हैं राइट लेकिन बेटियों को ब्याहने के लिए भी आज बेटियां ने ब्याहन वास्ते भी जिहड़े थोड़े बहुत सिख रह गए हैं वो साढ़े नाल कोई राबता नहीं है कोई रिश्ता नहीं look at the pain transformations boundaries this roti beti ka rishta has existed for time immemorial among our communities no one will pass judgments on it and I looked at him and I said Bansri Lal ji बहुत दुख है सबके क्या कर सकते हैं all right the reason I'm saying is I'm going beyond sin this time trying to give you some emotional angles of this is the pain that exists in the entire Indus belt I said there are two lines that were drawn Afghanistan Kandahar from Sindh when you go just cross into Balochistan and cross there you reach Kandahar is very close to Sindh right and this is the Nanak Panthi out there look at the pain in which he's going to say
दुख ये
ਇੱਥੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਥੇ ਨੇ
दुख ये कि मैं अगे धर्म ते कोई अच्छी तकन ग्रहण करे मन च बसावे वो वैर विरोध बुराई कुछ समझदा नहीं नादान लोग जो समझदार लोग नहीं ये साड़ा दुख है सारी जगह से ये दुख है
So the context of this is, he's the only Nanak Panthi surviving in Kandahar. He's a doctor, Dr. Raghunath. He's not Raghunath Singh, he's not Raghu Singh. Dr. Raghunath, follower of Guru Nanak in Kandahar. The only surviving person. And he says, मैं इथों नहीं गया क्योंकि मैं डॉक्टरी इथों की थी and I want to serve here. He could have left, but look at his emotion. He's still staying there. But when we were there, me and my wife, The pain that he's talking about is some people came and passed a judgment. Sorry, I'm sorry to the Sindhi community, I say. I'm sorry. Because this has happened recently here, that some people have gone and removed the Guru Granth Sahib from the Darbar. Yeah, sorry. This is also happening in Afghanistan. Some people came and removed the Guru Granth Sahib from there, from Kabul. Wisdom is not paper. Wisdom is beyond that. Let people live and live around. And that's the pain that he's talking about. That one man is keeping a Guru Granth Sahib. Who are you to decide for him? If you have the guts, go and stay in Kandahar then. Easy to pass a judgment when you're living in a herd mentality. Group thinking is what you can show your flex your muscles. Let's grow out of this. I want to end this by saying my head bows down to the various Sindhi saints. Dr. Santosh Singh, his book, The Guru's Word, beautiful book. In that he's dedicated a chapter on Nanak Panthis. And he's given a good description of all these saints of Sindh who were aligned with Guru Nanak's philosophy, along with many other things. Swami Tiona, correct me if I'm wrong. Tiona, right? Swami Sarvanand, Swami Sarthi Prakar, Dada Cheraram is also here. So many of them. Dada Baswani. I mean, they've all played their roles into the bigger Panth, right? And I'll end this by saying, Soro, I've spoken a lot. I've just flowed with it because Sindhi community doesn't invite me ever. Right? So the first time I got invited was in Jakarta. And I also went over there because I want to take this opportunity to talk. Right? I went a bit over. Today also I've gone a bit over. But I hope you'll excuse me, I'm talking my heart. Such opportunities come very, very rare. I end by saying, if you want to click these pictures, please go to these websites and see the content, right? thegurunanak.com, see the 24 episode docu-series. And if you've clicked this, then I'll move on. If anyone wants my details, I'll leave this. My details are here. It's out here, you can contact me, the barcode. But sorry, Rita ji, I've gone overboard. But I wanted you to be there because I wanted to see the presentation. Your seat is here.
Thank you, Amardeep. What a marvelous presentation this was. Thank you for showing us that Nanak Panthi will chair the session, and Amardeep, of course, will take your questions. We'll keep it short though because we have really exceeded your allotted time. Thank you.
I'm to be blamed.
That's absolutely fine. We enjoyed it.
While people frame their questions, I think I just wanted to, given the spirit, the passion, एक जिस आस्था से अमरदीप काम करते हैं, उसी आस्था और उसी तरह की आत्मा से responding to you, Amardeep, I want to say that this was not just brilliant, that's a wrong word. I think it is, it's mournful and joyful. Yeah, it is mournful. It's not possible to not feel overcome by this whole journey, by so much that has been lost and so much that may lie in remnants. When you were talking about Khattawari Darbar, and I used to think my family had sort of departed from some of the ways by which Nanak Panthi traditions, marriages used to take place in the Nanak Panthi traditions. And I was thinking all my sisters, their engagements took place in the Khattawari Darbar in Bombay. I was little, I was the youngest daughter, but I did not make that connection as to where this tradition was going. My mother would say, if somebody worried too much, she would say, Chinta se chehra gate gate buddhi aur gyan. Nanak kahe, chinta mat kijiye, chinta chikhya saman. Now whether Nanak said this or he didn't say that, the point is that every sort of evocation, every invocation to live well, to live spiritually was always with words of Guru Nanak. That even now, when sometimes I feel a pain in my back or somewhere, I end up impromptu saying Satnam Shri Vaheguru. So I think at least some of us who speak the Sindhi language, असां वटि त उहा ॿोली बि रही आहे जंहिंमें असां गुरु नानक जा शब्द ॿुधी था सघूं, पर केॾनि वटि त उहा ॿोली बि कोन्हे, त उहो बि हली वियो आहे. I want to open this up to see what your responses are. For me, it has operated at so many levels, it will be difficult for me to summarize it. I'm a Sindhi. These are things that I've always thought about and I have written about, and I continue to feel a sense of twinge and a sense of longing. So I will not go into what this has meant for me, but I think it would be good for Amardeep to hear what the rest have to say. So since the time is very little, Trisha, maybe we can take 2-3 responses together and then he can sort of respond all at one go.
I'm happy to pass the mic around.
Thank you, Amardeep. Anything about Nanak Panthis? I branded myself a Nanak Panthi because I thought that I want to honor that, and that it's gone 180 degrees in the evolution of this. Once the box, as you said, was formed, it kind of went 180 of what he was talking about. So, isn't there a way to revert, to get back to that sort of philosophy and get away from the boxing and the fragmentation and the...
So look, thanks a lot for expressing your emotions. I'm 59. In Guru Nanak, he says, "Hum aadmi haan ekdami." Aadmi is made of aadami. Ek dam aaya to main exist kar raha hu. Mujhe nahi pata main kal exist karunga ki nahi karunga, right? I don't know how long I live, but if I look at Guru Nanak as my benchmark, because he spent a lot of time studying him. If he lived for 70 years, probably I have 11 years. Time is passing by very fast. All I can do is do what I'm doing at more rapid pace. If the community support, we keep moving forward the engine, we leave something for the next generation. I don't own the process of trying to say what we need to do to turn the ship on the other side, right? That's something for the community to actually gain what you are actually trying to do. And unless we start parking the thoughts, we can't steer the ship anywhere. Because so much of negativity has been parked, you have to steer it in the right direction. And I only control that process.
I would like to say that Kandhar, Dr. Raghunath, that dialogue you just shared with us, कि गुरु ग्रंथ साहब को हमारे वो दिमाग से कैसे देखे, वो क्या हुआ था, थोड़ा सा वो उस incident.
No, that was not this one. That was not this one. Okay. That was different. If you want to delve into that, it's from Sindh. I'm in paucity of time, but do you want me to delve into that? It's a very interesting story. Okay. So in 2017, when I was in Sindh for the second book of mine, Dada Reva Chand's place, I went there. And Dada Reva Chand, I never met him before. So the person who was taking me around, I was deputed by someone, and this person, Ram Singh, he was Sindhi, who had become a turban-wearing Sikh at that time, first generation. So someone deputed, and Ram Singh took me around all the places. I went around them. In the evening, I said, "यार कोई बुजुर्ग मिलेंगे जिनसे मैं बात कर सकता हूँ." तो he said कि मैं लेके चलता हूँ आपको दादाजी के घर पे. दादा के घर पे गए हम, दादा रेवा चंद. He was very humble, very nice. He welcomed me. So I asked Dada Reva Chand, दादा मैं अभी सिंगापुर से आया था. 3 महीने पहले एक न्यूज़ आई थी कि गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब की डेसेक्रेशन हो गई है सिंध में, शिकारपुर में. बेदबी होगी. तो मैंने कहा क्या हुआ? तो he says, बेटा ये आजकल ना नई लहर चढ़ी हुई है, हर कोई है. तो राम सिंह catches me, says आप बाहर आइए. You can't broach this subject. I said, why can't I? मैं तो आपको पूछ के आया हूँ क्या? तो anyhow, I said, दादा मुझको आप लेके जाओगे? यहाँ तो हुआ था. So Ram Singh then said, मैं जा रहा हूँ. So he must be having some history. He left, right? So Dada took me to this. I'm forgetting the name. I think it was Shankar. No, it was some other. I'm forgetting the name of this. I'm forgetting the name. So Darbar, we went there. And you know what? I entered the Darbar, and it was a very interesting observation. We entered. तो अरदास चल रही थी. जो मैं गुरुद्वारों में अरदास सुनता हूँ, वो अरदास चल रही थी. I said, oh, interesting. अरदास सुनी, तो साइड में ना बाबा गुरमुख सिंह, बाबा गुरदित्ता सिंह सबकी ना स्टैचूज थी, जस्ट लुकिंग लाइक पंजाबी सिख वेरी काइंड ऑफ अटायर। मैंने कहा दादा ये कौन लोग हैं? कहते ये सब पंजाब से जो आए थे शुरू में ना नानक का फिलॉसफी लेके, उनको उन्होंने इज्जत दे रखी है। एंड आई गो इनसाइड टू अरदास सुनी, तो आई स्टूड बिहाइंड, तो आगे गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब थी एंड दे वर अरदास वर डूइंग इट ऑन द वॉल। बात खत्म हो गई, हम बाहर निकले, सो दिस लीडर ऑफ द कम्यून वाज कमिंग आउट। तो दादा साहब ये सिंगापुर से आए हैं, तो कहते हैं इनको बिठाइए, लंगर सिखाइए, प्रॉपर ट्रेडिशन जैसे होता है हम लोग में, कोई आया रिस्पेक्ट किया, लंगर पे जाए तो लंगर खाया। तो कहते हैं किसी से बात करना चाहते थे, तो उन्होंने कहा मैं दादा को भेजता हूँ। अनदर एल्डरली मैन 90 ईयर ओल्ड मैन केम, हाँ जी बताइए जी अमरदीप जी क्या पूछना है? मैं कहा दादा ऐसा बताइए, ये तो 90 ईयर ओल्ड मैन, ये मैंने सुना यहाँ पे कुछ गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब के साथ कुछ हुआ था भाई। तो कहते हैं यार बेटा क्या बोले, हमारे पास आए, मेरा कौन आया? कहते यही अपने सिंधी जो सिख बन गए, कहते हैं कि हम लोग गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब को ठीक तरीके से नहीं रखते, तो वो कहें आप कंबल नहीं चढ़ाते, तो वो नहीं करते, तो एसी नहीं करते, तो रोज झगड़ा करने आ जाए। तो एक दिन मैंने ही बोला उनसे, देखो बेटा हमको नहीं आता ना, तो आप ले जाओ। तो अगले दिन आए, शाम को उठा के लेके चले गए, गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब उठाए। मैंने कहा दादा आपने जाने दिया इतनी आसानी से? तो कहते बेटा क्या करें, रोज लड़ने आ जाते। मैंने कहा आपने जाने दिया तो आपकी अगली पनीरी आपके साथ कैसे अटैच रहेगी? कहते बेटा हमारे दिल से नहीं निकाल सकता,
हमारे घर से लेके हमारे दिल से नहीं निकाल,
हमारे दिल से नहीं निकाल। मैंने कहा दादा आपके दिल से, आपके डाल दिल से नहीं निकाल सकता, आपकी अगली पनीरी से ना निकल गए, आपकी अगली जनरेशन से निकल गई।
बहुत ही सुंदर। मुझे वाशु श्राफ ने दुबई से फोन किया, चिट्ठी लिखी, भाई ये जो भी यहाँ आप बोलेंगे, और प्रसन्नता हुई कि आपने काफ़ी डिटेल के अंदर जो नानक पंथी, हम सिंधी जनरली देखा जाए, जैसे आपने अभी कंधार की बात की, भाई हमारे भीतर से आप गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब नहीं निकाल सकते, ना ले जा सकते हो। मैं प्राय हर 2 साल के बाद सिंध में मैं विजिट करता हूँ। अभी भी जब पाकिस्तान जाना है, सिंध मेरा दौरा खूब होता है। आपने हालानी दरबार आदि की चर्चा की, साईं टेऊराम की, और मैं आपको ये बताऊं जो मैंने 26 वॉल्यूम्स आपको बताए गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब की। दिस वॉज द फर्स्ट ट्रांसलेशन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ सिखिज्म, फर्स्ट ट्रांसलेशन। इस 26 वॉल्यूम्स की खूबी ये है कि इसमें अरबिक सिंधी के अंदर ओरिजिनल बानी विद मात्राएं, उसकी मीनिंग इन सिंधी, उसके अलावा ओरिजिनल बानी इन गुरमुखी, और कठिन कठिन शब्दों का अर्थ। हर राग से पहले जो भी राग के अंदर अगर आ गया प्रहलाद, उसका जीवन, ध्रुव उसका जीवन, वेदों का शक हुआ तो वेदों का इतिहास बताए। ये वो ट्रांसलेशन है। मेरे पिता के कहने पर, पूज्य दादा जयनारायण जी के कहने पर, इसकी टीका अनुवाद हैदराबाद सिंध में गुरु संगत वालों ने किया था। और मेरे पिताजी ने सजेस्ट किया कि गुरु नानक के जन्मदिन पर आप हर वॉल्यूम एज ए बर्थडे गिफ्ट बांटो, बर्थडे गिफ्ट। और मुझे याद है कि मेरे पिताजी कहते थे आज पंजाब या कहीं पर भी गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब पर इतना लिटरेचर नहीं है जो लिटरेचर आपको सिंध में पाया जाएगा। सिंध के अंदर हर गुरु नानक बर्थडे पर एक वॉल्यूम एज ए बर्थडे गिफ्ट करके डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होती थी। और ये जो आपने दिखाया दरबार का जो डेफिनेशन है वो यही है कि गीता भी वहाँ है, रामायण भी है, आपने आर्य समाज का दिखाया। ये सिंधी की एक बैकग्राउंड हिस्ट्री है कि कि सिंध के अंदर कोई भी वितकरा नहीं था, कोई भी डिवीजन नहीं थी, कोई भी मतभेद नहीं था। भाई कन्हैया की आपने बात की, खटवारी दरबार से जोड़ा, बिल्कुल 100% ये सही इतिहास है। और मैं तो मैंने भी गुरु ग्रंथ साहब का अनुवाद 6 भाषाओं में किया है, 6 लैंग्वेजेस। उसके अंदर पूरा गुरु ग्रंथ साहब राइट फ्रॉम जपजी अप टू रागमाला, एक वर्ड की मीनिंग लिखी है, क्योंकि वही सिंधीज आर वेरी मच डेडिकेटेड। और फखुर से हम कहते हैं हम भी भाई सिख हैं, हम भी सिख हैं। सिखी सिखिया गुरु विचार, कोई भी गुरु की पर विचार करे वो सिख है, सिख है। और गुरु रामदास साहब जी ने जो विचार रखा है, गुरु सतगुर का जो सिख अखाए सो भल के उठ हर नाम ध्याए। जो भी प्रातःकाल अमृत वेले उठते हैं उसको पूरा हक है कि मैं भी सिख हूँ। हम फखुर से कहते हैं हम भी सिख हैं। और आज मुझे खुशी हुई कि मैं वहाँ से चलकर आया, क्योंकि वाशु श्राफ ने कहा भाई ये ज़रूर इन प्यारों को सुनना। मैं आभार प्रकट करता हूँ जिन प्यारों ने MP सिंह जी ने आना था, मुझे मैसेज भेजा कि मैं नहीं आ पा रहा हूँ, अंडर सर्टन सर्कमस्टेंसेस वो नहीं आए। लेकिन मुझे इमीडिएटली मैसेज आ गया कि मुझे माफ़ करना, मैं कुछ सर्कमस्टेंसेस की वजह से यहाँ नहीं पहुँच रहा हूँ। फिर भी मैंने केवल एक बेनती प्रारंभ में बाहर की थी कि दिल्ली के अंदर जैसे आपने ये ऑर्गेनाइज किया है नानक पंथी, सिंधी नानक पंथी, अगर प्रॉपरली हर पंचायत को हम अप्रोच करते तो खूब यहाँ सिंधी इकट्ठे होते। सिंधी नहीं आए हैं, कुछ परिवार आए हैं, तो इन फ्यूचर कहीं पर भी आप ये गैदरिंग या लेक्चर रखते हैं, मेरी बेनती है। क्योंकि मैं भारत के अंदर, दुनिया के अंदर भ्रमण करता रहता हूँ। 87 मेरी एज है, लेकिन फिर भी मेरी बेनती आपको है, सिंधी पंचायतों को आप अप्रोच जरूर करना ताकि अधिक से अधिक लाभ उठा सके।
दादा आप रखिए आप रखिए सिंधियों के साथ प्रोग्राम आ जाएंगे।
मेरा अचीवमेंट का प्रोग्राम बन जाता है।
नहीं, आप जहाँ भी बोलेंगे हम आ जाएंगे।
MP Singh ji is talking about he was Indian ambassador in Mongolia. He is Indian foreign service.
We are supposed to come.
He was also speaking very high up you, and will try to do it in West Delhi where there is more concentration of Sindhi population.
This is just a journey which starts from here.
Yes, definitely.
You know, there's no way of wrapping this up really, but I think I will go back to the question you asked him, whether this is reversible, if there is some way by which this could be done. I do believe that there is a possibility that lies in including these things in curriculum, in teaching humanities, in having classroom discussions. That's perhaps one of the possibilities that presents before us. And I think when we send our children to study things which do not include the humanities, this is also something that we miss out on. So this is just maybe an academic and a teacher speaking, but I do think there is a provision. Some of my students have come here today. Yeah. So thank you all very much. Thanks for joining us.